Picture this. New York City, 1951. A teenage boy stands alone in the crowded streets, watching the world pass by with cynical eyes. This is Holden Caulfield, and his story would change American literature forever. When J.D. Salinger published The Catcher in the Rye, he didn't just write another coming-of-age story. He created a mirror that would reflect the struggles of countless generations to come. Our story begins at Pensy Prep, where 16-year-old Holden has just been expelled, again. But instead of heading home to face the music, he chooses escape. This isn't your typical hero's journey. There's no magical sword, no chosen one prophecy. Just a lonely teenager with a suitcase and a head full of questions. Holden's battlefield is Manhattan, but his real war is internal. As he wanders through the city, he's not fighting dragons. He's fighting time itself, desperately trying to preserve something that's already slipping away: innocence. Every person Holden meets in the city becomes a reflection of his fears about adulthood. The cab drivers who can't answer his question about where the ducks go in winter. The adults at the lavender room, dancing their rehearsed dances. Even his brief encounter with a prostitute named Sunny reveals not rebellion, but his deep longing for genuine connection. His obsession with the ducks in Central Park reveals his heart. Where do they go when the lake freezes? He keeps asking. What he's really asking is, what happens to us when the world turns cold? Where do we go when we can't stay where we are? The heart of our story lies in Holden's dream. He imagines himself as the catcher in the rye, standing at the edge of a cliff, protecting children from falling. It's a beautiful image, and an impossible one. But isn't that what growing up feels like? Trying to hold on to something that's already gone? It's only when he watches his sister Phoebe on the carousel, reaching for the gold ring, that Holden begins to understand. Some falls can't be prevented, some shouldn't be. But to truly understand The Catcher in the Rye, we need to understand its creator. Born on New Year's Day 1919, Jerome David Salinger was a child of contrasts, born to a wealthy Jewish father and a Scottish-Irish Catholic mother in the bustling heart of Manhattan. Like his character Holden, young Salinger attended prep school, specifically Valley Forge Military Academy. These early experiences would later paint the vivid world of Pensy Prep that opens our story. But it was World War II that truly shaped Salinger's voice. As a soldier in the Counterintelligence Corps, he witnessed the horrors of D-Day and the Battle of the Bulge. While carrying chapters of The Catcher in the Rye in his combat pack, he saw humanity at its worst, experiences that would deepen his understanding of innocence lost. During the war, he met Ernest Hemingway, who recognized his remarkable talent. But the war left deeper scars than accolades. The trauma Salinger experienced would later echo through Holden's own struggles with mental health and societal disconnection. When The Catcher in the Rye was published in 1951, it wasn't just successful, it was revolutionary. But success came with a price. As his creation captured the hearts of millions, Salinger himself began to withdraw from the world. In a move that would puzzle fans for decades, he retreated to a remote home in Cornish, New Hampshire. Perhaps, like Holden, Salinger too was searching for authenticity in a world he found increasingly artificial. Though he continued writing until his death in 2010, he never published another word after 1965. Some say there's a vault of unpublished manuscripts waiting to be shared with the world. Others wonder if, like Holden's dream of being the catcher in the rye, some stories are meant to remain private. Today, Salinger's influence echoes through literature like a whispered conversation in the American Museum of Natural History. Authors from Harper Lee to John Green have drawn inspiration from his raw, honest portrayal of youth and alienation. The novel has been banned, celebrated, analyzed, and debated. It's been called everything from a masterpiece to a danger to young minds. But through it all, it has remained what it always was. A story about the universal human experience of growing up and facing a world that often feels too big, too fake, and too fast. Perhaps that's why, more than 70 years later, we're still talking about Holden Caulfield. Because in his story, we see our own questions, our own fears, and our own hope for authenticity in a world that sometimes seems to value everything but. Today, Holden's voice continues to echo through the halls of every high school in America. His story reminds us that feeling lost isn't a failure, it's part of finding our way. His questions are still our questions, his struggles are still our struggles. The Catcher in the Rye isn't just a story about teenage rebellion. It's about the universal human experience of facing change, searching for authenticity, and learning that sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is let go.